Welcome back to Listen Up, presented by Dempsey's Grill and Sportsline. I apologize for going on so late here this evening. I was waiting on Phil. Unfortunately, he's unable to be here again this evening. Hopefully, I'll have him back on for the next episode. But going to try to run through this real quick. Very, very exciting game that we had today versus Iowa in the Phil Knight Legacy Championship Final. The UConn Huskies ladies win again. I had some doubt there about midway through the game. I didn't think they were going to be able to pull it off, but they certainly did. Final score from Portland today being 86-79 in favor of the UConn Huskies, taking down Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Let's get into the recap here. Right out of the gate, I really like UConn's aggression offensively. They got offensive rebounds. They were shooting the ball very efficiently. Aaliyah Edwards was on fire. She had a really good game today. And Iowa was not respecting her mid-range shot, which is something she's definitely worked on during the offseason. Her mid-range game has improved a lot. But Aaliyah kept taking it and hitting it early in the game. And Iowa, they have a very good offense. We didn't really have time to do a last check-in video to go over these Iowa Hawkeyes since those games are kind of back to back there Friday and Sunday. But this Iowa Hawkeyes team, everybody knows they're a really good team. They had a little hiccup. They got upset earlier last week, I believe. But Caitlin Clark and this team has played, they have the same starting lineup the past 3 years. So this team has a lot of chemistry. They know a lot about each other. And they're a pretty tough team to play against. And we saw that here today. All around, very, very good 3-point shooting team. And in the second quarter, we saw Iowa come out in a zone, and it was really affecting UConn. They couldn't really figure it out. They were turning the ball over. Iowa found their groove, hitting 3-point shots, finding the open player in the paint. Iowa had a 5-point lead 3 minutes into the second quarter, and Gino actually had to take two timeouts in that second quarter. And just simply, it was kind of frustrating to watch for UConn fans. UConn just got out rebounded, outshot, out hustled. They just got straight up outworked in the first half. But despite all the negatives, and to be honest, there weren't too many positives for the UConn Huskies in that first half, but they were actually only down 6 points at halftime to Iowa. So it could have been certainly a lot worse, in my opinion. But Iowa, they couldn't really miss in the first half, and they didn't really miss the whole entire game, especially from the 3-point line. But and UConn was quite the opposite there in the first half. It seemed like from outside the arc, just couldn't get anything to fall. Azzi Fudd was really struggling. She was 0 for 5 from beyond the arc. She only had 2 points heading in to the third quarter, and UConn only shot 1 for 10 on 3-point shots in the first half. So that was kind of a really big thing there. Iowa couldn't really miss, and UConn was the opposite, couldn't really get anything to fall. Certainly not playing their brand of basketball in the first half, and the frustration you could see was building up from Gino and the players there. And much of it continued to begin the third quarter for Iowa. They stayed hot, went on an 11-2 run, and UConn still couldn't figure out that zone that Iowa was running. And somehow UConn kept letting the Iowa players get open shots from outside the arc. But about halfway through the third quarter, Gino took another timeout, and whatever he said must have worked and got UConn fired up, because after the timeout, they went on an 11-0 run to tie the game, and Azzi Fudd was really the difference maker in the second half there. Finally started heating up, and honestly, that might be an understatement. She had 16 points in the third quarter. Lou Lopez Seneschal and Aaliyah Edwards hit a couple shots there. Nika Mule continued passing the ball very, very well to the UConn players, finding the open girl and getting a nice shot offensively. And on offense, UConn, the last 6 minutes there of the third quarter is the brand of basketball we're used to seeing from UConn, an offense that can't miss and a defense that is very, very aggressive, not allowing open shots, creating turnovers. And thanks to that, UConn had a 4-point lead to start the fourth quarter. And the fourth quarter was so fun to watch. This game was really fun to watch as a whole in general. But the fourth quarter was so back and forth. Iowa went on a run to take the lead, and we're like, here we go again. Iowa gonna run away with it. But UConn went on a 13-0 run for themselves and took the lead back. Everybody played really good for UConn in the fourth quarter. Azzi, Lou, Aaliyah, and even Caroline making shots, playing very good defense. I think everybody did a good job defensively in the fourth quarter, shutting down Caitlin Clark. She had a really tough second half. I think she might have went 2 for 10, 2 for 9, something like that in the second half. So really frustrating her offensively and kind of just shutting down Iowa's offense, especially from beyond the arc in that fourth quarter. But like I said, I think everybody played good defensively, making things difficult for Caitlin Clark. And Aaliyah Edwards was the difference maker for the defense, in my opinion. And UConn, in the end, they got the job done, and both teams certainly learned a lot from this game, and they're going to watch the tape. Both of these teams learn a lot, and who knows? I mean, they might see each other again in March Madness because these two teams are pretty evenly matched. Iowa is a very good team offensively, certainly a good team shooting the ball from 3-point range, but their defense really impressed me today. You don't really strike them as a very good defensive team, but that zone they were running really disrupted UConn's offense, and UConn couldn't get anything going there for quite a long time, but they figured it out in the second half. Just kind of cruised through and found their shots, and they got the job done at the end and won this game. But Azzi Fudd, 2 points in the first half, 22 in the second half. I'm going to go with her as the player of the game. Could have picked Aaliyah Edwards again. She had a very good game, but I'm going to go with Azzi again. Really opened up UConn's offense and got them rolling in the second half. Aaliyah Edwards, 20 points, 13 rebounds, yet another double-double for Aaliyah Edwards. Put her aggressiveness was the difference today. Her aggressiveness, all-out effort for rebounds, playing very good defense. She found her shot offensively as well, hitting those mid-range shots and getting putbacks as well. That was big from her today. Caroline Ducharme came off the bench, but she found a rhythm today. And I said on Friday after their game about how she looked a little lost, couldn't find her shot yet. Well, she did today, and that's very important for UConn. They definitely need her offensive production, and they needed it in this game, and she delivered. And she played good defense as well. Nika Mule, the queen of assists, she got 13 more today. Another solid game from her all around, like we expect to see out of her. Lou Lopez Seneschal had a quiet first half, much like Azzi Fudd. But like Azzi Fudd as well, started hitting in the second half. Lou ended up with 11 points today. Aubrey Griffin, another solid performance from her. She didn't play that much in the second half. Caroline got most of the minutes, but Aubrey was efficient with the minutes she got today. And Ayanna Patterson had another solid game as well. She's a pretty good rebounder and a big body down there in the paint that UConn uses for defense. So another, I think, solid all-around performance. um, I think offensively for UConn, struggled a little bit because of that zone, like I mentioned, but they eventually figured it out in the fourth quarter. Azzi Fudd really heated up, and that just kind of opened up the offense as a whole. I think something that worries me maybe just a little bit from UConn today. I think a lot of teams are probably going to watch this tape and maybe try to replicate the zone that Iowa used. And that's something that for UConn too, they can kind of look at that zone that Iowa was using and kind of figure out, well, how can we beat this? How can we improve on this? And we see this in the past, or if we see this in the future, how can we improve and how can we be more effective from the field if teams do use this today? The final with UConn 86, Iowa 79. Next game versus Providence, December 2nd. So a little bit of a break here for UConn to kind of recover after this win. But a 5-0 start, very impressive. Go undefeated in the month of November to finish it off. So I guess I'll get into a couple comments here. That is the game recap here for today. Let's go over a couple comments here. I'll start with Groovy. He said, or they said, Aaliyah Edwards has that big dog energy. She sure does, and she proved that again today. Like I said, I think just her aggressiveness all around, and she really set the tone. big difference from last year. It's kind of the aggressiveness we saw out of her from her freshman year. And Gino really was on her about that and wanted Aaliyah to get back to that same aggressiveness that we saw her freshman year. And she struggled a little bit last season, but so far through these first 5 games, you can tell just Aaliyah Edwards is a totally different player in my opinion. And she really proved that again here today. Um, I think I'll go over one more here since we went on a little bit late here this evening after the game. I'll finish it off with Jason D'Amico. UConn is definitely the superior team, but they were very lucky that Duke couldn't hit a jump shot to save their lives after the first quarter. What makes me nervous is that Duke showed the rest of the country how to contain Azzi Fudd. Hopefully that was just just a one-time letdown piece. Well, yeah, I mean, and again, Iowa kind of slowed AZ down again in the first half, but she picked it up. And in the post-game interview there with AZ, she just kind of said, Gino and my teammates just kind of reminded me, and all the coaches as well, just continue to shoot your shot because it's eventually going to fall. Next one's going to fall. And she did certainly believe in that, and they did start falling for her in that second half. And like I said, there was very pivotal for UConn that she hit it, that she started hitting those shots. And that was really good for their offense. It got them going. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for me here. Like I said, hopefully Phil will be able to join me on the next episode here. But final score here, UConn gets it today versus Iowa. Very, very good game. Very entertaining game. UConn wins it 86-79. But I'll see you guys next week, maybe for I guess the AP poll, possibly tomorrow, maybe have an episode out on that for you guys. But certainly a last check-in video for that game versus Providence. First Big East game should be pretty exciting. But UConn stays undefeated in the month of November, going 5-0. This has been Rye signing off for now. I'll see you guys later.